It was almost seamless. You're listening to XRP Radio. We are finally joined with our first performer and album release party man himself, all the way from the very early part of the world, New Zealand. Hello, Adrian Drew.
Hello. Hello, Tiz. Hey, LC. How are we?
Good.
That's good.
Really
that went
good.
pretty well, didn't it?
Are you impressed?
Yeah, very impressed.
You don't
Very
understand how long I was working on all these graphics for.
Oh, it looks good. Well worth it.
Hey, happy days. Well, that's what we want to hear. More importantly, we want to hear all the exciting. It's been some time since me and you have chatted in this format, Mr. Drew.
No!
You've been so busy.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's good. I mean, I'm looking forward to taking some of the summer down here off Christmas, relax for a bit. He says as he's kind of almost completed album number 2.
Kind of completed album number 2.
No,
I mean,
I've got 15 demos for it done. So I mean, I don't know really how to relax. You hear music, you write it, you record it, you get excited, right?
That's entirely it. For a more formal introduction, because sorry, but we're friends here. Adrian Drew is the frontman and legend of Investigator, also his solo project, A Radical Sun. I know it's the wrong way around, isn't it? It's so difficult. Oh dear. Yeah, that band there. That we have been playing on XRP Radio for 3 years.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been very exciting to see you go from what we saw is your first single to 3 years later being somewhat one of the up and coming popular bands in your country.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? I mean,
It's not bad.
It's right. I mean, long way to go yet. One song does not make a band, but one song certainly gets your foot in the door.
It definitely does. Before we rabbit on, as we are very good at doing, I'd like to start off and introduce some of your wonderful new album to the people. You have been so kind to let us do this in order, the full album playthrough as a kind of release party, even though you did release it about, it was
a week ago.
7 days ago. Yeah, a week ago. On your birthday.
Yeah, and I didn't construct that at all either, actually. My distributor asked if we could release it in December, about mid-December. And I said, off. It's way too late. You know, no one cares about, any kind of digital releases during December. So I asked if we could pull it, back a bit. And so the date I was offered was actually my birthday. And, every middle-age crisis is turning 45 and releasing their first full-length album, right? Surely.
100%.
What was he thinking? Oh.
I mean, you're the one that put that label on it, to be fair. You could have gone for seasoned rock god finally makes it, but no.
I'm way too honest. And honestly, I thought about it and went, this is crazy. It's you get to kind of middle-ish age and finally you kind of break through. But hey, rock music is kind of, we're not aiming at millennials or Generation Z really. At first, I think that first EP was a bit pop rocky. I tried to span a few genres and cast my net quite wide, I think, to see if I could get onto different radio stations. But let's be honest, I'm 45, so, some 16-year-old isn't going, Investigator, I fucking rock. I love those guys.
You never know. You never know.
Well, popularity, right? So you never know later.
I mean
these kids are digging Nirvana and stuff again at the moment, so...
And truly, if you really are worried, at least you've got someone who looks 16 that says Investigator rocks.
Exactly. Brilliant.
You don't need anything else. Right, let's start off getting through some of these tunes. The first of which, the first track on the album is The Razor. Now, there's a bit of a flow through the album. So give us an explanation of how it starts.
It was really difficult, actually. I tried, because this album's taken so long to put together, it wasn't as cohesive, I realized, as we were reaching the finish line. I had a lot of songs probably about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago, for this original album before I even did the EP. So when I started putting it together, I was like, oh, shit. Some of it's a bit heavier, some of it's still a bit pop rocky. How does it flow? And we actually recorded this song quite a while ago, The Razor, and it was going to be last, and it's played kind of last at gigs. And then we're like, it's not right. So we decided that we'd kick off with The Razor because I like the opening riff. It's kind of angry, but it's also a little bit silly, as I like to do. And why not start an album that's a bit darker with my made-up boogeyman?
I love it. This is The Razor, Investigator. Right, so if you didn't realize, for the live side of things, we kind of forced to talk over the music, so Facebook doesn't pull it in its full, but it gives us an insight to talk to you about the production side of this track. So there is that very classic Investigator guitar tone that is recognized from a mile away. So let's dive into that for a start. How did you decide that sound?
Is it just me or has he gone wobbly?
Nope, wobbly.
Ah, cool. What did you say again? Come again?
What led you to devise this very well-known Investigator tone?
Yes. So I think it's interesting. I think it's got a lot to do with AC/DC, Metallica, some of the older rock music that I used to listen to, a bit of Smashing Pumpkins as well. But I'm a big fan of opening riffs. Big opening riffs, sets the tone, and out of that, I get to pick some notes to carry on with the rest of the song. So, example, just here. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, I like that. And then just dirtied the tone up something chronic. If anything, I think it's probably a little bit messy, but we went pretty full noise for this album. So the fun part was in the studio.
It's definitely got that wall of sound production. That's
exactly what we went for. We just, because with the EP, you think I was writing those songs and I didn't even know if I'd have a band. It was just me. So I was thinking about replicating it live if I had to play it solo. And then I got a drummer in, and everything was pretty simple except for the drum beat for Goodbye Car, which I wrote and made really bloody tricky for my drummer. But then when you get a band around you, I started to revisit all the old songs that I wrote with the intention of having a band, and then built on that, and then just started pushing myself a bit more. My guitar playing's much better than it used to be, so I can actually do some of these things and sing and play them. So I went, right, what kind of sounds do we want? When we get in the studio and we started recording, there was this awesome feedback coming off my guitar. Just when I was waiting to play a riff, or it's like, shit, that sounds pretty good. Or I'd accidentally touch a string and just get this awesome harmonic note, and we'd leave all of these things in, and that's stuff that you can't make in your demos, obviously, and all of that extra noise kind of really went into the whole album in the end, and it became just rather than just a big kind of rock or a classic rock album. We started going into more of that 90s alternative, which I feel real comfortable in.
Let me hold you there for 1 second. That was The Razor by Investigator. Oh. Timing. That was, I was not expecting that. That was Investigator. That's the first track off their album, The Razor. If you want to hear us talking about the track in the background, in the green room, click on the live streams that are on social networks and our radio. If you want to hear the tracks uninterrupted, please click on the play button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I know it's a little bit tricky these days because we've started going visual. We're trying to combine the two in a better way, but bugger it. Hello, Adrian Drew. I can see you, and so can everyone else today.
Kia ora.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
That's good. Yeah.
So you're talking then in the background about transcending the kind of classic 80s rock album, and then I cut you off to speak. So where do you think you've gone with this album yourself?
Well, I think that if I listen to the EP, it's probably firmly stuck in the 80s. There's a lot of homage to the Cars and also Tom Petty and things like that in there. And I'd say that this is like 90s. This is definitely more 90s. You know, we're talking alternative and grunge influences, but there's always kind of that little bit of like AC/DC, Metallica that sort of creeps in some of my riffs. You can hear it in the Razor there, and Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. So having grown up loving 90s alternative, I've definitely put that in there more. There's lots more wall of guitars and that, but there's still that crossover. There's still songs in there with a little bit of pop rock because, I mean, I can't stop writing big melodies and hooks, so they're going to be in there. But it's probably just going to get a little bit heavier, a bit noisier, and we left in a whole lot of extra guitars and feedback sounds and harmonics that came in the studio just naturally, and that was quite exciting. As I was saying, backstage, you can't really replicate that stuff. I mean, you can't do that when you're making demos the same because you probably just, direct in or something like that. But in the studio, it's awesome. You're getting all these sounds and stuff that you wouldn't really expecting. And a lot of those we kept.
Do you think with the current kind of ability for everyone and his dog to pull out decent quality kind of at-home recordings and kind of over clean things up, gate, compress, process everything to death, that these little nuances that you find in the studio are like really important to keep in to set you aside from this just kind of mass-produced bedroom rock?
Yep, absolutely. Like I have a look at, I listen to a lot of other music to compare. First and foremost, I want to see, are we hitting the ceiling? And we are every time, and that's good. Is there a lo-fi element? No, which is good because I'm not doing a lo-fi thing. That's completely different. There's lots of bands that are doing that at the moment, and I think they're really awesome. That DIY rock is back, and that's really cool. But I've always wanted it Investigator to be international sounding. And so that has to be pretty well produced, pretty thick. But then I don't want it to go into like, that kind of hard rock new metal sound where, as you said, it's all really, 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 really similar. And, feedback and things like that are natural things that happen. And I think that they should be embraced. So that is definitely what I think that sets us apart. This is rock, but it's certainly alternative and noisy as well, which is good. It's not all perfectly clean. Not every single take was absolutely perfect to make sure we got some phasing and things like that as well. Except for probably my vocals, which I'm a bit of a stickler to make sure I double track those. I
think in any music, I think even punk, even if you're screaming and shouting, if your vocals ain't on point, it will ruin the track, if we're being honest.
Absolutely.
So moving on, I'm aware that we've got a whole bloody album to get through. May I also say, finally, we've got a whole Investigator album to get through. The next track on the album is the title track. So just as an insight of album kind of creation, one, why is it the title track? And two, why is it the second track?
Yeah, it's a toughie. I thought the album was going to be called The Outcome of Dust, and it has been for 6 years. But with COVID and the delays on everything, we could only record 2 songs at a time, or 3, or sometimes even 1. and even I think it was Bad Luck Shoebox. We got stuck in the middle of it, and we couldn't even finish it, and we had to go back months later because of lockdowns and things like that. So I realized that I was kind of flogging a dead horse to try and name the album the same thing that I wanted 6 years ago. And some of the tropes and the narratives from that album were on songs that I left out. So I thought, well, Shade's the song that's getting the most recognition. Shade really kind of it sums up the album. It's us in the shade, kind of coming out of the shade. That'll be the next album, a bit more into the light, and this is more of the dark. And so I went through and I actually wrote a list, kind of a list next to each song. Is it you, me, them, the narrative? So is it about you being somebody in particular, me being myself and autobiographical, or is it them and I've created characters and stuff like that? Then I went through with to see whether I was gone gothic, dark, light, then tempo, and all of that stuff. Bounce it back with the band, see what they thought. It was Craig, the drummer, actually, that came up with the final playthrough list, because I had one song around the other way and it didn't quite work for his ear, and I listened back and I wasn't sure about it, and then I listened back and went straight away, no, that's it. So yeah, I wanted to kind of come out cranking and then go straight into the song that people love and know, and that's Shade.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. How's these drum sounds?
The drums sound awesome on this.
They're the whole album. The cool thing is about this album is that all the songs sound different to the singles we've released. We've gone and remixed everything, and these drums are fucking huge. And also the bass sound is something that I'm definitely keen to chat about at some point. That took quite a while.
I always find that bass is the hardest part of recording in studio, to get it.
It's for me, it's my favorite and easiest. I don't know why. I think I've realized now too, because I'm so bass heavy in my guitar recording, I've finally gotten rid of that, and I'm getting more into the middles and highs with my guitar to leave the space. But then that bass, I'm chucking massive limiter on it, throwing it through a Fender Bassman modeling kind of amp, and I play it up the neck a bit, and so I get this poing. And we tried so hard to replicate that in the studio, and we couldn't until we chucked another take an octave up on top of. And that's,
okay.
And that's how we got it. So yeah, it's two different ways of skinning a cat, and they both came out really well. My demo and then this final bass sound, but it took a long time to get. It's that Peter Hook Joy Division kind of twang, so it really gives it a place. And then that sounds good.
It's a tang, but it's a bassy twang. It's not, it hasn't gone as far as being kind of funk defined bass. It's
not quite.
It's not up there, but
that live 80s electronic sound.
Yeah.
As if Nile Rodgers or something was playing not funk, but in some sort of live, electronic thing. That's why, New Order's the perfect example.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, you've got that kind of almost jazz style runs in some of the songs as well. That do 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 do, that kind of
Dave
created run backing. But I like the fact that it's not just that, he plays around with it a little bit in the right place. Like, it's been nice to hear throughout all of the tracks on the Shade album that I don't know whether everything was written specifically, but it feels like you've allowed each musician to have their little nuanced fill here and there. Like you're not just sitting there and listening to generic bands. You go, there's a little run from there. Oh, there's a nice little fill from the drummer. It's not boring all the way through. It's not just verse, chorus, verse, chorus.
Exactly. That's what we really work on, because now it's a band, and when we play live, we put in these really cool elements like the complete dropout without looking at each other, come back in, on the one without even counting it in, and that shit goes off. Well, I love watching that shit, so I put that stuff in, and we work it really well. And so I worked stuff like that into the songwriting of this, and then also leaving space, because as I said, I was quite bass heavy in my original writing. So some of these bass lines, I'd go to Dave, hey, I've written this bass line that is basically a guitar line, and try and get him to play it. And then I realized I put in too many things and stuff, and he would rework it and go, how about this and this and this? And then these
Let me
other
just
parts
hold
where I'm
you
like,
there.
here's a nice gap. I've got no idea.
They just hold you there. You're listening to XRP Radio. That's Shade from Investigator. Yeah, it's odd getting used to this double stream setting, isn't it? But we'll get there. We've got our first question in from Simo from
Yep, Simo.
I think you're probably half anticipating this. When will Investigator come to Finland and play a gig with us?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I'm pretty sure that comes along the side of when will Sir be paying for Investigators plane tickets?
Our producer Kane was in a heavy metal band, Sonic Altar, who actually went over to Scandinavia. Went over there to. Sorry, I apologize. Finland is not part of Scandinavia. Finland is not part of Scandinavia.
Is it not?
It is not.
Is it really not?
Actually, no, it's not. But let's say the north, the very northern part of Europe. He went over there for quite a while and tried to make it over there. So I'm sure he's got some contacts. If get me over there. So maybe there's a promoter that wants to bring us at some point.
That would be lovely.
Let's get working on it, Simo.
Yeah. And then you can go over to New Zealand and it'll be a whole thing.
Mate, there's a good hard rock metal scene here.
I've heard this and I've noticed that unlike pretty much every other country in the world, it's nice to see on I believe there's one recent, well, in the grand scheme of things, recent rock station that's really doing a lot for alternative music over there at the moment. And I've noticed not just Investigator getting in the charts with their station and getting a few plays on, but quite a few alternative and unsigned or independent bands are getting a lot more exposure over there, it seems.
Yeah.
And what shocked me more than anything, actually, is when you started talking to us, you were on about government grants to help support your band, which I thought was absolutely insane. But if you would tell us a little bit about the alternative music scene in New Zealand and how you felt the past 3 years in it have gone.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because there's a really big student radio network here. They have their own awards and everything, and there's these student stations have been around forever, and they support a lot of the indie alternative stuff, electro pop as well, and things like that. But there's absolutely no space for a rock band, like a out and out straight for white male rock band. And that's absolutely fair enough. We have our place. There's a radio station, big giant network station. It's huge, called The Rock. And that's obviously our pinnacle that we aim for. And we're lucky enough to get on there with Shade. And then there's another one, Radio Hauraki, which has been around for quite a while. And they support a lot of alternative music. So they're probably a little bit more alternative, a little bit more 90s, late 90s focus. So that's really good. But there's probably about 3 or 4 independent stations that are absolutely amazing here. So especially if you're into real, heavy metal and hard rock, new metal and alternative stuff that won't get on the commercial radio stations. There's one up in Northland up here called The Generator. There's a really good one down south in the South Island called Chaos FM. And I think you've actually spoken with Carwin at Chaos, and he's probably one of the biggest supporters of New Zealand. He plays 30% New Zealand music without, having to have a quota. And he's the one that really plays a lot of the Kiwi bands that are good, that don't get any airplay on the commercial stations. and so they've got their own real community, and they help. So they'll play a band like us, but then they'll play a band here like Caridian, which is a New Zealand band, which is just incredible, and it's hard to find their place. But luckily, there's these stations that support us that have popped up and been around for a little while now that are doing it just like yourselves over there.
Oh, blessings. As a thought, this is just random personal inquiry now, but where do you stand on stations that there's a range of stations? You've got some that are like us, 100% unsigned independent. You've got stations that will have their one little hour of independent music and then do their normal thing. And then you've got the stations that kind of do the mix of some. So they may have like 10% independent music throughout their daily playlist and whatever. Now, from my point of view, personally, I think, and this isn't saying I'm right, you're wrong, but why compete with the mainstream when it's so money driven? There's not really competition to be had there. A lot of people turn around to me and say, "Oh, but I just got played next to Metallica." And sometimes I think, well, I could put you in a playlist now and put Metallica for. It's not like a big thing. It's not like you've made it because someone played you on a playlist next to me.
I know where you're going.
But where do you stand with it as a musician? I haven't asked this anyone before.
I think it's changed. I think it's completely changed now. So when someone and I said it, like I saw a playlist and I was sitting between like Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Jane's Addiction, or something like that, and it was a real buzz. And it was a buzz because these stations historically do not play independent music, and that's why it's a buzz. So they are playing independent music. So example, The Rock playing us within all of their rock brands. They're big bands, Foo Fighters, and the ones that all of their tradies are listening to. When you get played within that as an unsigned, and it's playlisted every day, and you're unsigned, and we're not the only ones. This is the great thing. It's changing. So they're finally going, okay, well, it doesn't matter if this comes through Warner's, EMI, or any of those pricks anymore. It doesn't. Offense given. It doesn't. But it doesn't matter because these bands, as you said, it's not really just a home studio, but you can go and record somewhere that doesn't cost you, $20,000 to make a record anymore, and it sounds the same as a $20,000 record. And so because of that, bands are now dropping, or they're not racing to go and sign a really ass hat of a contract, which gives them no rights to their master recordings. Because that's the other big thing, is that I get messages all the time from people going, how do I navigate this? What happens? And I was like, own everything you can first, and then you get paid royalties for this and for that. And so because people are doing that, they're not exactly running to the big labels anymore, which means that these stations can't rely on the big labels turning up with the same with these artists, because all there's so many great musicians here in New Zealand that are getting airplay that aren't technically signed, but they're creating their own labels, or they're going through boutique little things, which is really more of distribution companies, or PR and stuff like that. That's the big difference, I think.
That's really insightful, and thank you for delving into that for me. It's just something that I've never asked anyone, and after you mentioned it, I just wanted to dive into it a little bit.
I wouldn't go the other way. I wouldn't go the other way for you to play, signed music. That doesn't make any sense. So that already exists.
I've always looked at it very selfishly, I guess, and I'm sitting there going, well, if we started just playing like, what's the point in that? But I do understand that if you've managed to break into a station that is playing majoritively big bands and you've managed to break that, now I'm thinking, okay, I understand that.
Yeah, it's because they haven't, like, the only way. This is the good thing, it being 45 and having worked in radio and having worked at the company that owns The Rock. See, there was hardly any independent. You were signed to somebody, or you had a big PR company or a manager. So a manager would take you on even if you weren't signed, and would peddle you, and you'd get you get to play on air and stuff and do things like that, knowing that you're probably going to get a contract soon because you're with all the right people. So when I was there, it was different. And then since leaving, you can do it alone, and people are, and you can't ignore a good song. It's that simple.
It's true. It's true. Moving on, I'm looking at the time and realize that we've got quite a few tracks to get through. And I am determined to at least get a few little strums out of you live. That sounds dodgier than intended. But we've got a few more questions lined up for you after this. But first, just to keep the anticipation there, Lake of Eyes, track 3. What is a Lake of Eyes?
I don't know. I don't know. This is one of the oldest songs. If not I think this is the oldest song in the album.
I was having written the first one we got.
Yeah, having written half of it, and then the other half a year ago or something like that. I wrote. All I had was, well, actually I had a lot of it, but I didn't have any verse lyrics. But I had most of the music, and I had the chorus. It was focused around eyes, and then I thought, oh, hold on, it's like swimming in your eyes. So you fall in and you're swimming in these gorgeous eyes, or whatever. And I was like, it's like you're in a lake of eyes. I was like, shit, write that down.
Okay. And so I get it now. Completely different spurious. Image in my head.
Yeah, it's a tenuous link.
About, like, frog spawn of eyes that you're swimming through. That's what I had in my head.
Falling into the eyes, swimming in the eyes. And so I thought, it's like a lake of eyes. Once I'm in there, then it'll be huge, and I'm tiny, and I'm inside this lake of eyes. So I wrote that down. I went, well, let's stick to that, rather than try and.
I love it.
Oh, I like it. It's unique. If you got something unique, go with it, I think. So
I love it. Here it is for the masses. Lake of Ice.
Crank it. Hear that bass sound.
I was going to say, like...
See, it's different.
But still similar.
It's just got that twang. That extra twang. That little slightly electronic twang.
This is what I was mentioning a lot with your guitar tone. It's... Every track's different, but it's still... all of the instruments still have that Investigator bass that they've then had things done to.
Yeah, it's kind of just a little bit of overdrive, and then obviously you'd bring in your Marshall plug-in, chuck in your big Marshall head or whatever.
I love it.
I love it. Good sound.
With the album, was all of the audio recorded in the studio, or did you bring stuff that you'd done before? No, everything. Okay.
Yeah, I brought all of the demos in, and it's Saws is the only guitar tone that we changed.
Okay.
Yeah, I was originally had like a plexi drive sound on it. And I love that plexi drive sound, but it's so fuzzy and muffled and bass heavy, and it sounds cool. But as a standalone or on a demo, when you start adding in the other instruments, it gets lost in with the bass and the kick drum and things like that. And it didn't quite ring through. And then so we basically went Marshall stacky kind of sound for everything. It's just high overdrive. Chuck in a bit of a lasery, for those lead things that I like to do. There's just
carry on.
It's just always a touch of like kind of like an electronic-y, like a laser, like a sci-fi element, I think, to everything.
It's weird because it's got elements of from a production side, it has weird little elements of what you'd expect, practices that you'd expect to be used in 80s synthwave music.
And none of us do that. None of us are producers of that kind of genre of music.
The guitar tone, the way that you're saying it's got that kind of sci-fi kind of element across it, it's I don't know whether it's the same, but there are elements that I recognize from when I've been mastering, kind of. synthwaves music, and it's weird. It's what I'd use, that kind of almost 80s hip hop synth that you hear in a lot of synthwave music. That's what I hear in the lead guitar, which is so weird.
It's interesting, because that probably started with living in a magazine. You know,
I've got to halt you there. Sorry. Lake of Eyes Investigator for those that are listening on the mainstream. And if you want to hear me and Alien talking about in-depth, with some of these, about how the tracks are made and stuff, or you just want to hear us waffle on about this, join us on the visual stream. Couple of questions for you from the listeners before we get in. Firstly, I'm tentative to say this because this always starts a mass debate. Way. Now you're worried. What do you think about gigs that won't give you any money but cost you money to play? Like the good old pay to play.
What do you...
Did my voice go funny then?
Does that still exist? Does that still exist?
It does. Well, yeah.
I don't know how it exists, because we obviously, we pay to play everywhere, and the payment is covering the cost of the staff on the bar or the doorman and the sound tech. So we pay for that, and it's generally 250 to 350 New Zealand dollars at 0.4 to the pound.
So that's a bit different. You're talking about,
that's right,
practically venue hire. That's
right. And you charge the tickets for whatever, and you get all the sales of your tickets, and you get two free drinks each band member as well, generally at each place that we play. Well, yeah, at every place that we play for that. And that's pretty much it. I don't think that pay to play has been here for a while. It was for a while. We got pretty up in arms about it, and then we had COVID, and you've got the hospo industry not having any money and asking people to pay for free, and then you've got the music industry saying we haven't got a cent for ever, and most artists aren't playing Wagon Wheel every other night at every other pub and bar, around the country. And so they're the ones that are fine. And the rest of us, like myself, and bands, aren't that fine. So I think they just said, right, here it is. It's going to be pay the, so we're all paying the people that need to get paid. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And then it's up to you to get your own fans there to turn up. I mean, our last gig for this album launch, and you got to find the right bands as well to go with you, and then you can get a bit of money. And also, as I said earlier, make sure you own the rights to everything of your own, and you get your double royalties. You get copyright royalties and your master recordings royalties. And as long as you do all those things, you should be able to facilitate paying for recording and songs, and it should just be cyclic. I mean, we're not here to make a killing. We're here to release music, and as long as we can keep doing that, there's pay to pay. No. Jog on.
It's interesting.
Jog on, mate.
Jog on, mate. It's interesting that you went the way of the kind of venue hire side of things, because I know a lot of UK and European bands will end up, they'll be with a promoter. The promoter will sell the tickets, and they will get a percentage of ticket sales. So the promoters hired the venue, paid the staff, blah blah blah. But then they kind of pay the band out of the ticket sales that are provided. But what is the typical thing that happens here that we do actually, yeah.
That's
especially
the problem.
In the bigger cities, yeah.
Bands have become their own promoters here a lot more. So there's obviously the big promoter gigs, and they're going out to the dozen same bands every time, pretty much. And that's why we're they're there, and we're just here. We're trying to break through that glass ceiling, and that would take another couple of songs to get on the rock and stuff like that, and then we'll be invited to play these festivals, the bigger ones that these promoters put on. But other than that, there's a lot of us bands that are basically their own promoters. I mean, I've put on every Investigator gig. I think every one. I think I've put on every one myself, and I've organized it all and organized the flyers and
Awesome.
the banners and everything. And it's tiring, but I've chosen this to be my career. So I'm not juggling another job, so I can do it. But you become, it's the best way to do it is to basically get like-minded bands, create your own bloody scene.
I love it. I love it. More questions now. Have you ever wanted to punch out an engineer or producer for ripping you off or destroying a song?
Tiz, what do you reckon?
Sounds like you've got a pretty good producer.
No.
I was hoping I avoided that.
No, not at all. It's also because I had a long career in radio. I've been around musicians and I've been helping musicians for years. I know exactly what happens. I have too many cases of friends and other musicians telling me about the places that they go to, the reputable places that cost an arm and a leg to record, and you feel you're like a battery hen. You're just in, out. And there's no love put into it. And yeah, I've had actually quite recently people talk about the production and what they got compared to the kind of band that they are and the sound that they were going for. And these people paying a lot more money than I've been paying, and the product that I get is a lot better because you got someone that's invested. So that's on yourself. That's on yourself to do the work and not just go to where the name or who's been passed on. Oh, this is a good name. This is where everyone goes. I mean, everyone goes there. That means you'll sound like everyone. So the great thing is finding a producer. And I did an interview recently for New Zealand Musician magazine and talked about that because they invest in you, and then you get all these amazing things like those solos, like in Lake of Eyes. That's Kane, the producer, writing that solo because he can hear it and he loves it and he loves the music, and he'll put more effort in and actually join in on the band as basically the fifth member. And that's what a great producer should be, and that's what we should all be looking for, not just somebody who's got a name, because otherwise we'll all sound like Manic Street Preachers.
Yeah, so I think that's an important thing that not many people realize. But going and vetting your producers and sound engineers in the first place. One of the things that I try to do is, well, basically sit. I think the first listen through of demos and stuff like that, the producer and the musicians should be in the same room so the musicians can see how the producer is reacting to your music. I think that's a really important thing because don't get me wrong, you say send your music to everybody out there, and they're going to turn around to you and go, "Yep, I'll take that job because money is money."
That's exactly it. But I think, first, all you do is listen to their back catalogue. Who have they produced?
That's a good point as well.
What are the sounds that you like there? What are the sounds you don't like? And yeah, as you said, you vet a bunch of them, but there's some really affordable producers, and you know what? Those affordable ones do put in more work, in my experience.
They've got something to prove, really.
And
the only thing I will say,
and
the only thing I will say, and I am 100% testament to this fact. 9 times out of 10, independent sound engineers and masterers are also doing 17 other things at once, and
that's the only drawback.
You may need to. Not that the two people in this chat room at the moment have any experience of this at all, but you may have to nudge them occasionally.
Or perhaps just write up a contract at the start, and if they break that contract, you break their knees.
I think that's actually a very good thing.
Oh, I'm excited about this next one. It's a new single, right?
Yes.
Hardest song to play.
Right. This is the hardest song to play, is it?
Yeah, it took me ages. It took me so long to get this stupid staccato rhythm, and it's just hard. I never like playing on the beat. It's the down, the upstrokes, it's the palm mutes, and it's really tricky. It's just really, really tricky to play.
Well, This is even more interesting because this is one, as you know, I like to do a blind react to a couple of tunes if we're doing this, and this is one of the 3 that I haven't listened to yet.
Oh, exciting!
Oh, I've been I don't know why Saws appealed to me, which is a weird thing to appeal, isn't it? Really,
It doesn't make sense naming a song "Saws," to be honest. And who has a
no.
chorus? Don't pick at saws. And the original chorus
You
was actually no, I don't know. It just it's because of the allegory. The metaphor was perfect. You know, don't pick at saws. You'll open a wound of emotion too soon. I mean, come on. The metaphor was too good to ditch it. So I just had. It took me ages actually because I had to rewrite that whole chorus melody because it was flat and
okay?
really shit house until I got it. And then everyone's like, "Wow, I love that chorus, that soaring thing. There's something about it." And also, Kane suggested not going hell for leather with the rhythm guitar in the chorus. So it's actually 1 strum notes now. And that leaves space
Okay.
for Craig on drums, who's going mental, which is cool. And Dave's awesome bass line in there as well.
Here we go. This is Saws from Investigator.
Don't pick at them.
I'm just going to turn this up a lot louder so I
listen.
can grab a drink.
Go for it.
Yeah. Hold tight.
I'll do the same.
I'm not the only one sitting my ways, but I'm the lonely son you have to face. Well, I'm a kid who's lost his way, while I hid the crown on decay. I'm not the only one better made.
Oh, we all went.
Once I lived down memory lane, what I did to have it all gain. Time's not only one to heal the pain. The times were lonely, so a choice was made. Don't pick at soul.
Hi.
We both went. Terrible live streaming.
Sorry, everyone. I was just putting in my hot drink order upstairs.
Ooh, that sounds. I like being able to order my drink. Big solid sound. You know what? Right at the start, when that riff first came in, do you know what I initially thought?
What?
Under the Bridge, Chili Peppers.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Well, it's I'm going to play a reprise version later of this.
Ooh.
It's fucking cool. So you'll see where it's been played, and this is really hard, man, because Adam wasn't available as well. I mean, I think Adam's only on a couple of songs actually on the album, but there's a lot of guitar parts, and because I wrote it so long ago as well, I had to go back and revisit and work out how to play some things. And throughout the chorus, that opening riff is played. It's actually a bit different. It's a pregio of the chorus, but it's played really freaking quick. Bung ding 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 ding. It was mental.
And that's what you've decided to try and play later.
Yeah, well, the reprise is a bit different. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
I like it. Here we go. Oh, hello. A little bit of creative licensing there at the end of Source. I like that. Just have a little whittle over the end, please.
Yeah, that's Kane. He's
Love it.
It's cool. So when you're in there recording, because he's obviously listened to the demos and he hears stuff, and then when you play it again and we work out, drum things like now and then, we'll go, yeah, let's rip that bit out or let's chuck that bit in, and then he hears things again, and then by the time I've got home after the recording session, he's already sent through something with that, and he's played a solo over it, or he's put that little noodling at the end. It's like, oh, of course it's got to have that noodling. It's like the canvas is there, and there's just a couple of little extra bits that he goes, oh, I hear this, and I'm sure you do. Send it through.
I love it. A lot of bands wouldn't be very happy if all of a sudden they got their master sent back, and all of a sudden there's someone else playing over the end. But
I leave the space now. I learned that. Is so good that I leave the space quite often for him to stuff on top of, and a lot of it's sometimes just those real gothic-y, creepy synths and things like that.
When it comes,
always happy, and I tell him what I don't want if I don't like it.
When he adds stuff in, as I know you said he's the fifth member of your band as such, but when it comes to performing, then after he's added all this stuff in that you didn't necessarily intend having in the first place, how do you deal with that? What is your plan there? Oh, I saw that. Oh, isn't he sweet? Oh.
Well, I said the space is there, and it's a strange kind of writing thing, because as I said, I'm here at home all day, so I'm writing. So everyone's got an opportunity to write, but probably don't have the same kind of time. And we really, really respect what Kane does. So we're kind of excited actually when we go into the studio to see what he can hear and what he adds in there. And he's always like very respectful about it, and goes, yeah, Adrian, I've got these kind of weird synths that I could hear that kind of follow on from the last song that we did, and let me know if they don't like them or whatever. And I'll just say, hey, I think that they work, but I don't like where it goes up here. Can you come down, or it's too high in the mix, or stuff like that. Very rarely do I say, don't ditch that, I don't like it. So as I said, I leave the space. I try. The funny thing is, I say I leave the space, but there's like 6 guitars I already wrote on that song anyway, and then we still stick another 1 or 2 over the top at the end. So if you actually have a look at the stems, you'll go, hold on. And that's the cool Easter eggs, I think, when, I know you probably listen to songs and go, hey, if you listen really closely, there's like a whole nother guitar over there on the right doing this little thing that's completely different to the whole rest of the mix. And so that's the stuff I wrote in there originally. If you took it out, dynamically, it wouldn't quite be the same. It'd just be, rhythm, solo, rather than, I love writing those lead lines that are always, kind of going along the whole way throughout it.
So St. Patrick's agrees with you. Never too many guitars on the wall or in a track.
On the wall. I've seen his wall collection.
He has a hell of a lot of guitar. We've got another comment as well. This probably means more to you than it does to me. You'll see it on screen now. Craig Van Can. Does this mean more to you than it does to me? I can see. Actually, I can tell. This is your drummer, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not my drummer. It's the band's drummer. But
the band's drum. The drummer.
But I say the band's drummer.
What I mean.
Yeah, I know. He knows what I mean. He's being a cheeky prick, aren't you, Craig? I do like how that just popped up though, and I could read it. That was nice.
Yeah, this is our little things. Yeah, we do stuff like that. Someone a while ago also said, really usefully, great.
Oh, well, that's got to be one of our reviewers from the album. Better than Nickelback. Karen from Milford.
Love it. Right, let's keep smashing through this music. We've got to speed up a little bit because we've got to get you playing live in a bit. Aubergine.
This is the pop rock.
This is the pop rock. I mean, it kind of had to be with a name such as Aubergine. Now,
That's right.
the problem with me, this is the second of the three that I didn't listen to previously. And obviously, Aubergine, you know, the internet uses that emoticon for a reason. Is there any sexual innuendo in this track?
Heaps.
Wicked.
Well, it's not even
This is
innuendo.
what I'm here for.
No, it's not really innuendo. He's the narrator is asking her to stay one more night and stuff. So Aubergine is a name of, you know, how everyone started naming their kids cool fruit names and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, well, let's try and take ownership back of the purple wang and call this woman Aubergine, and she's like a really successful creative type that doesn't need a partner.
Okay.
And she jets off to different cities and stuff like that. Had this idea of New York to Paris and doing all these things, and he just wants her to be his, but it's not how it works.
Here we go. This is Aubergine. I was half expecting it not to even be called Aubergine on the album sleeve. I was just expecting the emoticon, to be honest.
Yeah, the emoticon. I love the intro. It was just like bang, damn. Yeah, so this is
a lot
this is my
tighter.
ballad. This is the ballad, you know. So that you can hear the other EP, I think, in this. You know,
Definitely.
Even though it's electronic drums, I mean, it's a very expensive electronic kit. It's crazy, but it's tight. This is that.
Yeah, this is so tight. This has the.
It's so can open here, and then it opens a bit more. But it's really
the
tight.
start surprised me because it, like you said, it did take you, because this album compared to the initial kind of demos and stuff that you sent, I found to be a lot better produced, but also, again, when you were mentioning all the little bits and pieces that you just left in there, it is quite loose from a production standard, and not in a negative way.
No.
But yeah, this came back with that really kind of tight rhythmical kind of production that you've got on the early stuff.
And that's what it sounds like live. You know, this is this, and I mean, Don't Touch Me is the other one, but Don't Touch Me sounds better live. Like I think it's still the song that we didn't quite get recorded, but it sounds really good live and people love it, and especially the big shouties, Don't Touch Me and stuff like that. But this is the bell. This is gorgeous. And that is that not the never-ending story? Never-ending story. This is actually Kane, and I went, "Oh, I love it! It's Never-Ending Story, one of my favorite '80s movies."
I feel like I need to go and watch that. Hey, watch that in a good time.
Yeah, tight. It's about these gaps, right? It's like
it's odd. I do need to go back and listen to this in album format now, because as a standalone right now, I'm like, great track, but like, how does this fit in an album listen?
It barely does, and that's the problem about taking 3 years to make an album. Yeah. And you know, I would have done it completely different, but I didn't have a choice. You know, you recorded songs, you paid for those recordings, and so we just tried to make them sound like an album.
Aubergine, Investigator. Again, to all those people out there, if you're enjoying us talk about the stuff, you can watch on our various social networks and on the YouTube channel. And if you want to hear the uninterrupted tracks for the first time, that I think we're playing through every track of Investigator, you might want to hear them rather than listen to us jabber on about them. You may not have heard it before. So go to xrpradio.co.uk/chat and join in the chat with the people in the chat box as well. There was quite a few people that tied in with the pay-to-play conversation that we were having. A good one. Nige from Higgs and the Bosons, he does kind of sound tech stuff out there. And he was
There's that purple wang.
There's the purple wang. Thank you, Craig. This just completely ruined my train of thought. But he was saying, yeah, that it's often that he'll go to a gig he'll be providing the PA and be the sound tech, and the band are quite obviously quite thankful and really appreciate it. But it tends to be the venues that are causing the problems these days, trying to scrape as much money out of bands as possible. And it goes back to something that I find when I was younger, and yes, not 5 years old, before anyone makes the joke. It was typical for a band to get a cut of the bar taking when I used to gig way back in the day. And I find it bizarre that venues are pulling every single penny that they can out of bands at the moment when it's them that are bringing the punters into the venue.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen here now. You know, that's I remember those days as well with getting a take of the piss. You know, I was actually just finished reading a book of a friend of mine, and he mentions that in the 80s as well. And it's a promoter, and your promoter used to be basically a gang member as well. From, you know, reading the older stuff, these guys were muscle. You know, and even, you know, you look at the Beatles manager, Mel, he was muscle. You know, these people were muscle. So they kind of, you know, would bring people in and bully them and go, this is what I get. And, you know, sign here and I, you know, take money off the, but that would never happen here. It's nice and simple. I mean, venues trying to take extra is absolutely ridiculous when you get free live. You get a band playing to people, right? And
the way I
that
see
band
it
is bringing in people that then pay exorbitant amounts of, like, the cost of a pint now is ridiculous anyway. And we know how much that costs to make. So the profit margin's insane. You know, a $12 Heineken or whatever is absolutely ridiculous.
I need to figure
absolutely insane. So they can definitely jog on. Now, like, this pay to play thing can, you guys it's up to the artist to take the power back and not play. But and they'll just get a shitty product because you get all the you know, the entitled kids with mummy and daddy's money who will go and play and sound like ass.
Yeah, I find it bizarre, but here's a point to anyone that's listening out there: when you go in and booking gigs or whatever. I think somewhat because there's so many bands out there that are, and their attitude has kind of somewhat changed from I'm a band, this is my job, to please give me a chance, sir. Please, I'll do anything you want. And that's allowed people to take the piss. I don't think enough bands are going to a venue and going, I want to play, it's going to cost you 200 quid. So many people are going, I want to play your venue. What do I do to play your venue?
Yeah, I don't agree with charging the venue. It's too tough at the moment to guarantee for the venue that they're going to get the numbers. They don't know anything probably about you and whether you can get the numbers yourself. So if I was a venue owner, I'm not paying someone to play. I'm saying you bring the punters and you take everything on the door. Real simple.
Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, if there isn't a band in, then it's an empty venue.
Exactly. That's what I think. That's all right. Let's crack on, eh?
Yes. Next one.
Squarey one. This was the first one.
Actually, no. Sorry.
This was the first release.
What wasn't Lake of Eyes first?
No. Bad Luck Shoebox, Unique, then Lake of Eyes. That's how long it's been.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a year, hasn't it? Like,
yeah,
Jesus,
it's been crazy.
Bad Luck Shoebox. This one did rather well in our charts for a good strong period, and has done well in elsewhere as well. As I remember.
This as I said, all these songs sound just a bit different after the album mixes. So check out the toms across the whole album. The toms are insane, but just listen to the opening of this song now.
Here we go. You know this, but it's going to sound bigger. It's Bad Luck Shoebox from Investigator. Stop it! You know what? I will openly say now, I have never heard such. I mean, not to be a dick, but it's an obvious open fill. Just a do. But it's huge.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Boom. It's like, how have you done something that is basically the corniest drum opening in the world and made it sound great?
Yeah, boom. That's those toms there at the end of the bar. Boom.
Yeah.
You know, it honestly sounds like an atomic bomb.
I always find this track quite odd because it's really gritty, and it's the one you swear in, and you know, ride the rail, let's get mashed up, all that. But your vocals throughout are actually ridiculously relaxed, apart from the little rap bit, and even the rap bit is really quite relaxed.
Yep,
it's like.
It's not serious.
To go out and get mashed up, but intravenously.
Yeah, it's
I love it.
Because every song I get into the character of that person that I've written about or whatever. So the Bad Luck Shoebox being a down and out bar, a metaphorical bar for the down and outers and all the scum and the thieves and the low lives of the world. And so as he's narrating it, he's hooked. He's hooked into this bar, and he mentions it, you know, and there's a bottle waiting for him when he gets there all the time. So he's half inebriated or thinking about being inebriated in the first place. So that was the kind of the style. And also, as a lot of these, like the Razor and that, you know, it's got some grit, but it's not completely serious. It's absolutely not completely serious.
Oh.
You know,
you've ruined the illusion. No.
It's just on the borderline, like a lot of Investigator songs. It's just a tongue just in the cheek.
I like it.
Is that meant to read dreams? It's both, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, something coming and filling up your drummer at night is not something that should probably be advertised, but I loved it.
Drum sounds incredible. I love it. You know, that's well, if we think about each instrument, you know, really does stand out. Really got everything to sit in its own place. So yeah, you can have a wall of noise in some of these songs, but you still hear the booming kick and tom sounds, and yeah, and there's a really crazy snare coming up next in Unique. It's probably the coolest sounding snare I think I've nearly heard, other than the Cult She Sells Sanctuary. It is a cracker, literally. Wow. Yeah, I like how they all sound a bit different. Yeah, because it's a very sparse.
Bad Luck It's Bad Luck Shoebox from Investigator. The sweary one, as I used to say, almost daily, actually. I would say that Bad Luck Shoebox was possibly to date the most requested Investigator song on XRP radio. Not just that, but possibly one of the most requested songs, full stop, on XRP during the shows, which was quite impressive. I would say for at least a month and a half, there wasn't a tag show that didn't have Bad Luck Shoebox played in it. So there's a thing. Obviously, you should probably swear more.
Yeah, I did. Have I got some more swearing coming up? Let's see. No. We've gotten through all the swearing. No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Oh.
How's that drum sound though? How's that? Boom.
It does sound huge. It's undeniable. I mean, not only the fact that it's a simple fill to start. I did say in the break, like it's impressive that you've got from such a simple tom ride to explosion in 0.1 seconds.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like,
It
does
just
sound
carries
huge.
on because I was just saying to you in backstage that we've got Unique coming up next, and it's got a lot of space in that song. So the snare
that
on
next?
this is it? No, it's not. Don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
And yeah, don't
Okay.
touch me. And then Unique coming up after that has like a cracking snare. It's so hard, like it makes you wince. We had a listening party last Friday, myself and Craig, up here in the studio, and I put on the PA speakers and had it all surround. It's just sitting there going, oh, every crack of the snare.
Love it.
But yeah, we've got the one which was the big fuck you to the media industry at the time, and it's funny how this wasn't meant to be a single. It's just because of lockdowns and stuff, we had nothing coming out because we weren't able to get back into the studio, and I knew that we'd recorded this, and so you have to keep momentum going. You can't disappear for a few months. So just before Christmas, we released "Don't Touch Me," and it wasn't really meant to be a single. Well, it wasn't meant to be a single. It was my FU to the kind of the music industry, feeling a little bit, yeah, I was just pissy. But I think it worked because after that, Shade came out and got picked up by everyone.
I would love to think that that there's industry heads out there that just happen to come across this track and go, "Oh fuck, we best listen to the next one then."
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. Obviously,
I love it. I love it. Here we go. Don't touch me. Investigate.
Oh, except for there, I like it there. Don't touch me there, but you can touch me there.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, don't touch me there, but you can touch me there. We do this on alternate guitars live, that opening. So me, Adam,
okay,
so it's really cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was just about to ask, how do you do that panning thing live?
Yeah, so just came up with the idea. I said, hey Adam, how about we play it so it's I go the first note, you hit the next two, then I hit the next two, then you hit the next, and so I just said to Kane, this is how we do it, and can we do that? And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what we should be doing. So we're on the same page, all of us, with it. So awesome. All these tiny little tricks that at a show look really cool, and people go, "Oh, great show!" And then I can sing like shit and not feel as bad if I have a bad day. we put on a good show.
I think it is important to put a note on the fact that there are many bands out there that don't put enough effort in their stage performance. They think getting on stage and playing, they can play as blindingly brilliant as you can, but if you just stand there and do nothing, there are very few bands that can get away with that. Like the Hives kind of got away with it because they're very still performance.
I love the Hives.
Expressions.
I love the Hives. They're so good.
I think
it's one of the best live bands ever.
Yeah, performance-wise, exquisite. Their music, realistically, is nothing special, but the performance that they put behind it makes it great.
Well, apparently,
their videos, the visual.
I was just reading this last week that he can't play that live too much. The singer, Pete or whatever his name is, because he just blows his voice out. That's the whole part of the shtick. The way that he delivers is not, he's not singing, he just blows his voice out. It's about, being as raw and as much as he can do. It's good. So I was wondering why there's so much energy to it, because he's actually just giving it everything and no care for the vocal cords whatsoever. So yeah, you see that there's a bit of a pop rock hangover from the first album. And there always will be.
It's definitely still connected to everything that you've done.
But what I'm kind of doing now is I've realized, how hard this was to make an album that was cohesive over a 3-year period with COVID. So this is nearly going to be like a gateway to the second full length album, and that's where you'll hear exactly where Investigator is for the foreseeable future. Was that flat? I'm sure some of that singing was flat. Apologies. Actually,
You're too picky.
You asked me a while ago if there was any sounds brought in from outside the studio, and there were. I just remembered. And Don't Touch Me, the gang vocals is actually the whole band in my old studio, which is just a spare bedroom at the old house. And we did gang vox, Don't Touch Me, and I recorded it and sent that through, which actually didn't sound that great, and Kane had to work a bit of magic on. But those gang voxes were recorded just in a spare bedroom at my old house.
Quality. I mean, I guess when you're doing that kind of vocals, it needs to be shouty and raw and rough anyway.
Yeah, I had everyone different kind of places positioned.
Love it. Yeah. I've done this. There's one track, I'll pull it out one day for you, where I created my whole a whole operatic symphony, and it was only actually 2 people with 7 different microphones, triple layered. It was good fun. We've got about what have we got left? 3 tracks of this album. Yes, we do indeed.
It should work out well
to perform. It was almost like we planned it. Anyway, so Unique, the one with the cracking snare, but
yeah, the new cracking snare.
Oof! You've done a bit of a play. It's a little bit of a play on words here, you and then Unique. It's very clever. I like it. But what is it about?
It's about individuality and being yourself and not being a sheep and following everybody else. There's some pretty obvious lines in there, kind of like how does it feel to wear somebody else? It's like wear somebody else's skin, pretend to be somebody else, and I have enough trouble trying to be myself. And yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, I'm sick of everybody doing the same thing, and trying to look the same or trying to sound. It's less about music, it's more about society. It's just about championing yourself. I mean, when we're born, we're the only version of a human, of this human, and yet we strive to try and look like everyone else, whether it's cosmetically or whether it's fashion or whether it's just trying to fit in at school and stuff like that. And this is about championing your inner uniqueness, and that's what makes you, and that's better than you being this dick twitch.
Not just the fact that you said this dick twitch, but the fact that you gestured generally in my direction.
It was more like a general, like the world, like this dick twitch, like this guy who looks like this guy, who looks like this guy, who looks like this guy. I'm pretty sure you're unique, Tiz.
I mean, am I? Or just am I? I don't know what I am anymore.
And that's who you are. No, you'll find yourself. You'll find yourself. When's the wedding? I'd suggest that you hurry up and find yourself.
You're getting a little old here, figured out.
Hey, right. If the whole world is going to berate the fact that I look 20 years younger than I currently am, then I'm going to get away with having an extra 20 years to work myself out. Thank you very much, guys. This is Unique from Investigator. Here we go. So, fun little. Okay. First, no, we'll save that question. That question can be saved till the track's done. Mentioning Unique, right? I understand, but then, as kind of, the grand kind of, how do I put it? The end goal for a lot of bands is to have their music listened to across the world and be semi-popular, which will mean lots of fans of yours donning your merchandise and such.
Mm.
So where do
They get
the
that.
levels of unique come? Ooh, I was controversial and also confusing.
Because there's a shirt for everybody.
Huh?
Now, what we've done on our merch is that you can get every single album art as a t-shirt. Everything that we've
Okay.
released as album art. There's some amazing album covers that we've done with the help of with Barney Bewick at Indium Design here in New Zealand. And so everything that we've released that has its own unique album art has a t-shirt, a hoodie, a sweatshirt, I think everything, a bag, everything, as well as the 4 different Investigator logos, either just the magnifying glass in black or in white, or the full logo. There's actually shed loads of merch of different things, so you could be quite unique, because personally I like the 7 Ways cover the best. That's one of my favorites, and that was done by my old mate for nothing. But that was to help him with after his brain injury, get back into graphic design and stuff like that. He did that and Lake of Eyes, and so it was a really cool thing. And
quite the story. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think he's working at the Guardian now. I think it's the Guardian. But yeah, we used to have a TV show together. And when I heard he wasn't well and he was back over there in London, and he said it was just an awesome project to get his brain going again. But that's one of my favorites is the 7 Ways artwork. I should actually should send him one.
I think you should. Oh, that's a great story. I love that. I find it.
What happened to Elsie's face?
Oh, she's got a.
Oh, your arm joined into your face.
Oh, yes.
God.
Sorry.
Fuck.
She hasn't actually got.
The munchies are kicking in.
No, it's something to do, isn't it?
This is a lot of people's favorite song on the album, and people that I wouldn't have expected, like hard rockers and things like that, absolutely love this song. It's something about, I don't know, the space, the melody.
I think it really shows off your vocal range.
That's true. She's
really
tough. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
It's pretty bloody high.
Well, I mean, the important thing is it's not just all high. You're showing that you can traverse, which is
it was a song that could have been. I noticed in the review that we got for the album, the reviewer said they were expecting it. She said expected it to get heavier and have some sort of random riffs, and it didn't. And she actually liked it because kind of got sucked into it. And it then didn't go and burst and do all these changes, because you think about the rest of the album's doing all that. A song doesn't need to do that when it's put into a whole body of work.
It's nice. Let's hold that there. Unique from Investigator. I was just about to say that it's nice to have that there in the album. You've got quite a lot of not just in your face sounds, but in your face kind of topics and feelings and emotion. It's nice to have that little reprise after all the characters that we've been introduced to and all of that, to kind of sit back and go, this is your moment now. This is you. Do you? And it works really annoyingly well. And, well, damn you for that, basically. Stop being so good at music. Or with album construction. Anyway,
pretty happy with that.
About it. This is one thing that this is my first playthrough of the whole album from start to finish, but the construction of it as an album, which I think bands don't an artist don't spend enough time on the construction and layout of their album, and just base it. You see a lot of bands now. You get an album from them, and it's kind of like these are 10 tracks in the order that we like them. Oh,
That's me constructing the next album.
See,
You
that's
you've
what
got
it's
to-
on about. Yeah,
There's a lot of listening hours involved. It's hard too because you're listening to your own stuff over and over again, and somehow you can't kill it. You've got to make sure that it's still interesting to you after 6,000 listens. Luckily, it evolves after a few hundred listens and becomes better and better, and then you get taken in the studio and it's awesome, and then you love it. But there's a point there where you just, oh God, I'm playing golf. I'm out for the day. I can't listen to that song once anymore. But all right.
Have you ever got yourself to the point where, like, are there any songs off this album that you're just like, I need a break from this now?
Not yet, because I have on Friday I listened to the album loudly, and I'm listening to it with you guys again, and I actually put it away for a little while, and I've done so much of the admin and the marketing and things like that. So, other than listening to starts and finishes to make sure I haven't stuffed up, MP3s and things like that, and it hasn't been a lot. There's, taking things for teasers and stuff like that. So it's, at the moment, we're all good with it. As I said, I'd do it differently because of COVID made it very difficult to make a cohesive album, but I think we've done the best job that we could with what we had. But yeah, I mean, ask me that question in a few more months, and I think maybe I'll have a different answer, or maybe I've just moved on or something. I'm not sure. Maybe I've fallen in love with other tracks, but yeah, I've got my favorite. The band's got their favorites and stuff like that. So I think we're still in that stage at the moment.
Excellent. Juxtaposed question here, but I was going to ask you this anyway, but someone else did it for me, so I don't feel like an asshole. When is the Gator returning? I miss the show from Down Under.
Oh, don't we all? Don't we all miss it? It was.
We all do miss it. You miss it. We miss it. Everyone's missing it.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Like I said, I'm tired. I've never been so tired in my life, and it's not just because I've gotten older. It's just the amount of work, the amount of sleepless nights, because it's really hard to turn the mind off when you're doing, I'm not just a musician. This is my career. So I am the manager, the agent, the promoter, all the marketing guy. And, then I'm doing artwork and everything and interviews and, paying for this, budgeting, and it's crazy. So I'm looking forward to taking
for an interview that you didn't have at 5 a.m.
I'm waking up at 5. That's the problem. I'm looking forward to changing my body clock and not constantly thinking about, can we get everyone to get together for a gig, or can we, I'm looking forward to having a bit of a rest, because basically I need it. I'm pretty shattered. So just going to enjoy it.
You've said that whilst already announcing that you're halfway done with your next album.
Yeah, that's just the demo stage. No one's even got to take it to everyone yet. But that's the thing, is there's been practices for gigs, practices for this, and unfortunately, when you practice, you accidentally write something at the end of a practice, and so you got to jot that down. And and also I find that when my back's up against the wall, I'm under pressure, and I'm actually get at my most creative because I'm feeling really emotional and stuff like that. And also I had an idea. I had a narrative, which I won't tell you about yet, because I'll keep that secret for a while. So I wanted to see whether that idea had any legs, and there's a bunch of songs that I'd already demoed that weren't for this album that will be on that one. And there's also some riffs that I just teased out and went, oh shit, I've got quite a bit here, and that became like 8 definites and 15 potentials at this stage. So You know,
Right.
and I think that writing part like that is way more fun than this part of it, where
Yeah.
you're trying to
Definitely.
peddle yourself, self promote, and also get rejected or have hope. And you know, this is the tough part when you're trying to get on stations and trying to get in places and festivals and all that kind of stuff. So this is the bit that, you know, that drains you more than writing a demo, for me anyway.
No, I understand entirely where you are coming from.
So sorry, I went a bit off topic.
It's fine.
but not in the immediate future. But it's all here. It's still set up, and we can go again at some point with the Investigator show, I'm sure.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope so, anyway, because it's getting rather popular. It's one of those points where you're like, I'm really tired. I'm like, you wanker. It's just started getting really good.
Yeah. Well, also the time zone during it was very difficult that early. It was really, you know, it was, I think, an 8 a.m. start, and then that would be earlier or later depending with daylight savings. So it's pretty tough.
With New Zealand doing their daylight saving completely different to anywhere else in the world, it did cause a couple of issues.
We're first.
Okay, if you're first. You may be first, but everyone else is like, you know, we'll do this over a week period.
You don't even know what's happening today.
You do like 4 weeks earlier.
Yesterday over there. Yeah, 4 weeks. Yeah, you got to come here and see why, though, mate. I mean, if I open the curtains right now, the sun laser will burn my face clean off.
The sun laser, I love it. Right. I'm looking at the time now. We've got 2 more tracks on the album. Cool. What I'm going to do now is play them back to back, so we've got a little bit of time to get ready and.
They go so well back to back as well.
I mean, I meant to do that entirely. That was, you know. And then coming out of this, we'll ask any last questions that have come from the chat box, and then I'm just going to leave you to perform.
Okay, cool.
Here we go. So starting off, we've got Ahead in Time and then Downtown back to back, the last 2 tracks on the Investigator album. And then Adrian's going to do a little live performance for us.
Oh, exciting.
Cool. Oh, that was almost a mistake. My brain just went to press play on both of those tracks at the same time then.
That would be weird.
I've had a hell of a day.
Your microphone's had a hell of a day.
I saw it's like an internet broadbandy, you know.
It's because I've got 4 different audio interfaces working, and most of them are doing 2 jobs at the moment. So it's just not happy with it. I made a slight mistake when I'll have it fixed in the future, but I should have changed how my audio is routing, but I didn't realize it until we went live.
The whispery song.
This is very Nightmare Before Christmassy.
I wrote part of the song the day before we went to the studio because I realized that Adam was going to be available for it, and I was trying to remember what he did. We'd never really had the chance to work on it again properly, so it's that real staccato angular guitar, which I now love. That that was all done the day before. It's like pushing it. But this was always like my proggy album song. It started off as just noodling around. We actually played it before Goodbye Car Live. It's like a tuning, you know, tune up and get to the next song.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like this. Can I make it into a full song? And then it ended up being about 12 minutes long when I first did it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's just an album song. And then I got bored with how long it was and chopped it right down. It's really cool, especially where it goes at the end.
No, it does work.
Oh, those drums.
It's got a bit of not quite as warbling and as wild as they do go, but it's kind of got some of the production elements that Soundgarden has at times. That kind of grunge, kind of space out kind of sound.
But that's all the influences. I'm a massive Soundgarden fan, and I think that's why I was like writing bass heavy, because I used to love that sound that they did, and then I realized that it's because they're in drop D and shit. But there's a lot of, you can hear all these different influences. You know, it's quite interesting.
Definitely.
How they, yeah. But yeah, it's nearly got a Black Hole Sun feel in a way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, but not quite.
You've only just mentioned
as...
it, and I didn't think about it until you've said it. But yeah, there's definitely a bit of it in there. Definitely. Someone's mentioned a bit of Lane Stanley vocals and things like that.
Okay,
yeah. Alice in Chains and a bit of, you know, and that's all there. Because I mean, I consume so much music. That of course it's all going to be in there, and that's the good thing, I guess. The more you consume, the less I'm going to be a sound-alike and more familiar, and that's what you want anyway, hopefully. Cherry picking, right? But without doing it on purpose.
Are you ready to have a strum?
Ah, yeah, it's just everything set up. I tested. I love that chord, man. It's such weird chords. It's a good thing about not being musically trained.
That's a really
yeah.
Let me just replay. The end of that is quite a weird palm mute that is done. That's done on that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's around a B chord, so it starts off with a. Oh look, I'm cut out on this frame, but it's like there. Where is it?
Here we go.
So there. Now check this. It's a G, but with that B shape still.
Oh, okay.
You know, and then so that staccato bit becomes like a. And then that weird chord. So yeah, it's just got a slight, like one of the notes is just a bit wrong, and somehow it works. You know, it's like you shouldn't play those three together, but it just gives it a wow. This is my favorite, I think. This song. I used to play this on acoustic at Vineyards. It's quite an old one. But
yeah, I can hear this.
People used to love it. And I was like, yeah, that's going on an album at some point. I actually stole those notes off Muse, Nights of Sidonia.
Yeah. Don't shout that too loud.
Well, I didn't really steal it because I checked it, but I knew that I was listening to Muse and I loved the combination of these darker notes. Like there was something where he was going across the fretboard. I was like, oh, I like putting that chord with that chord. That works really well. And then there was an epicness to the open, you know, playing it open. So I just kind of played around with my own version of the feeling that he was creating.
Okay. Just the thing, when we go for the live performance, I'm just going to put you full screen.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I framed out as well.
Yeah. So if you want to just kind of once you've done everything, be a little bit like, I'm done. If you can probably, I mean, we've got 20 minutes ish. If it looks like you're running over because I've got Spike on straight after, when you're doing a bit in between and it's getting a bit closer to the line, I'll probably interrupt and just go, and that's it, I'm afraid.
Oh no, I've got a little timing clock over there, I can see it.
Wicked. But as it were, I'm just going to kind of leave you to it. That's almost metal chunks. But yeah, so I'll basically leave you to it until time seems to be doing. And then just before that, just before the end, I've got to do a handover to Spy.
Sweet. Big end to the album. I love it.
Done. No, the last two tracks off the new Investigator album, Shade, Ahead in Time and Downtown. Now for the bit that a lot of you have been waiting for, Adrian is going to do some live performances of his songs Investigator songs in an acoustic version. So we're going to hide and leave him to it.
Any more questions? Wasn't there another question?
I think
weren't you saving a question? All right.
That was the question. Yeah, is the Investigator returning? And we're just saying yes. In which case, I am handing over Adrian Drew from Investigator. Everybody.
Thanks everyone first for joining us and listening through. Thanks Tiz, thanks ALC. Great questions. I hope you enjoyed the album. I thought I'd play, you've just heard the album, so I'm going to play a couple of songs first that you probably don't hear that often, and then I'm going to play a reprise version of Soars, the new single. So let's turn this up so I can actually hear myself. So this is Lovers and Loners, which I don't play, and I don't play live. The band doesn't play live either. So I thought, well, I'll play it. Let's get this a bit like that. Welcome to the Investigator Studio. Lovers and Loners. You can tell I haven't played that for a while, but it's nice to play songs that you don't get to play with the rest of the band. So here's another one that I did with a good friend of mine who is very successful, was a very successful hip hop artist with the group Fast Crew, and I had this demo that I brought over to him, and he got hooked. He loved it, and he said, "Can I mix it? Can I work on it with you?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." So I never actually, because there's a demo, and the demo doesn't sound like this, but that's because this is kind of like an electronic version. So this is what it originally sounded like when I wrote I Go Crazy. I go crazy and you go down. You're so lazy and don't come round. I've been chasing you got ground. You see, I go crazy and you go down. I go crazy and you come down. I go crazy and you come down. I go crazy and you get found. I've been racing to track you down. You're so hasty to shut me out. You see, I go crazy and you come down. I go crazy and you come down. I go crazy and you come down. Always on the run. If you stopped, I would give you the sun. Instead of riding cars, it could just be us in the stars. Oh, I go crazy and you come down. I go crazy and you come down. Always on the run. If you stopped, I would give you the sun. I go crazy and you come down. I've been racing to track you down. You're so hasty to shut me out. You see, I go crazy and you come down. Thank you. Thank you. It's funny how you still get nervous playing live when you're the only one in the room. But I know you're out there. I know you're out there. Hope you're enjoying it. Okay, so as I said before, Swords was probably the most difficult song for me to play live. It's the last song that we actually kind of nailed down before to record, and we've only played it live once, and yeah, it's hard, but I went through a lot of different iterations, and I had a couple of different versions that I had written for the acoustic guitar originally, and here's one of them that I like quite a lot. I can't stay. Sit shit, I don't change. Not the only one set in my ways. I'm the lonely son you have to face. Well, I'm a kid who's lost his way. While I hid, felt okay. Mine's the only one better made. But mine's a lonely song you hear today. Don't pick at souls. You can be sure. Once I lived down memory lane, and what I'd give, have it all again. Time's not the only one to heal pain, but times were lonely, so a choice was made. Don't pick at souls.
can be sure that will open a wound of emotion too soon. Don't pick at songs.
Thank you, everyone.
Woo!
Right on time. Right on time.
Tis is saying words, but he's muted himself.
I was clapping and cheering all the way through that. Well done.
Thanks,
That
everyone.
Investigator, everybody. I hate to kick you off in the quickest way possible, but we have a Spike Directions Garage
I
of
know.
Cringe coming up.
I went right up to the 10.
I know. I should have just cut it off and not said goodbye, but I felt like I should.
Rock and roll, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for the rest of the ZERPATHON.
Lovely. Goodbye.